Hey guys, and welcome to the Alabama Saltwater Fishing Report, the first podcast to bring you the local inshore, offshore, and onshore fishing report, whether it's good, bad, or ugly. I'm Butch Theory. I'm joined today with Captain Richard Rutland, cold-blooded fishing, co-hosting with me. How you doing today, bud?
Woo, man, glad to be inside in this warmth today, man. It's a little breezy, little dreary outside today.
Glad to sleep in a little bit this morning.
Yeah. We're about to get back after it tomorrow. I'm looking forward to that. Especially if it stays nice and overcast like this and a little breezy. The fishing really should be good in some of these tidal rivers.
That's right. Yeah, it's that time of year for sure.
It is. I love this time of year with that river fishing. The colder it is, the more excited I get sometimes.
Yeah, you and I did a little bit of fishing starting off the week, and we did pretty good.
Yeah.
It was nice. It was chilly morning. Warmed up pretty quick.
Yeah,
it was nice.
It was chilly. I was telling Bobcat about that when we were fishing the bog over the weekend, that we were kind of freezing a little bit in the morning. Then once the sun cracked and sun got up a little bit, we started to warm up. We could feel our fingers again.
I think my fingers were numb till about 9 a.m.
Probably till about the time you caught the first fish, huh?
You forget about it real quick whenever you catch one of those gators.
You think you struck first on the trip the other day. You caught the first fish. That always warms my hands up quick.
For sure.
Nothing to warm you up like a fish, like a tug on the end of the line.
Tug is a drug.
Cures
your ailments. Yeah, that was fun, man. I got to work on my grub fishing for sure. I felt like you crushed me a little bit on that. I can hang pretty good with a slick. I don't think you crushed me on the slick, but
yeah.
I feel like I'm okay with it. Like I get it. I get the feel in the bottom. I don't mind watching my line. I'm not lazy, but I don't know. I can't get it to click for some reason.
It's definitely an art to it, and it just really takes a lot of practice,
sure.
Or experience. And you said something on the trip the other day that made me really think about is the amount of focus you have to put in on that.
When I got home, dude, my shoulders and my neck was all stiff just from. You don't do this hand motion for hours and hours on end.
That's right.
Stiff for sure.
That's why I got a good chiropractor.
That's right. That's right.
But yeah, it does. It takes a ton of focus. And for me, jig fishing, we're talking about jig fishing in general, especially that deep water stuff like we were doing in Mobile River. Yeah. You really, really, really have to pay attention to keep in contact with the bottom with your lure. If I don't have contact with the bottom, I don't really have a lot of confidence I'm going to get a bite. And I don't know why that is, but that's just how I feel. If I can't feel the bottom, I'm reeling it in and trying to figure something else out, So
I guess some fish are just kind of feeding on the bottom.
That's right.
You're bouncing your grub down the drop off or whatever it is that you're fishing. That's where they're going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'll continue to work on that. I'll get better, I promise.
Speaking of grub fishing,
yeah, man, tell me a little bit about it. Old Bog Wrecking Crew came in with number 1 again, huh?
Yep, we had Battle of the Grubs this weekend on Saturday. It was a very tough day. Very tough day of fishing. Not a whole lot of bites. I wouldn't say that we went out and wrecked them. We obviously wrecked the best 3 that we needed to win.
That's all it takes.
Yep, and it was a tough day of fishing. Had a real nice, what I would call trout conditions early in the morning. Overcast and a little bit of windy. Not a lot of tidal moving. I think that's what kind of killed the bite a lot of places. There just wasn't very much tide at all throughout the day. We were fishing on a nip tide.
I was about to say Saturday was nip, wasn't it?
That's right. And so a lot of people struggled. It seemed like. And in fact, talking about struggling, we didn't get our 3rd stringer fish till we felt like pretty good about our stringer until about 2:30 or 3 o'clock. And then we caught that fish in the industrial canal. And we ran up to the causeway by boat. And after we caught that fish, I think we made one more drift down our bank. And about 20 minutes later, we loaded up and headed to the causeway. So it was
full day.
Oh man, and talking about focus a little while ago, that's when you really got to focus in a tournament. Is like when it's 8th, 9th inning, and you're about to be done fishing, and one bite can freaking carry you to
change the whole day.
Yeah, it can carry you to the finish line, and you just got to stay focused all day. Just wait. You never know when that fish is going to hit.
Did y'all catch the 3 big ones on slicks, or you bouncing them on the bottom? Or
we fished all slicks. We started in Dog River, and we're throwing. I want to say Bobcat always sticks with the B-Cat, which is the pearl white with a chartreuse tail, and I've been doing really well with the Cool Beans color.
I like that one. It's probably my favorite one.
Yeah,
that's what I stroke them on in here usually.
Right. That's one of my favorite colors for sure. I wouldn't say I have strictly a favorite.
Same.
You know.
I'm still trying to figure them out too.
Right.
You know, color for this, color for that. But I would say Cool Beans is probably my number one producer so far.
Yeah, it's great. And Joey, don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure he told me he's gonna make a Cool Beans, and then he's gonna start shooting chartreuse tails on them too. So that'll be really cool.
Yeah, I don't see how that could be bad.
When I used to do a lot more grub fishing than I do now, I used to use an opening night color on a grub, and I'd always dip my tail in that chartreuse, and I don't know why, but it seemed to make a difference a lot of times.
Give them a little something else.
Yeah, just light up that tail. If you look at fish, bait fish and stuff, sometimes they got a yellow tail or it's a little translucent.
Yeah, big word.
Whatnot. I think that's what fish pick up on. I don't really think they're seeing the exact colors and the breakup and all that. It's shadows that they're seeing from a long way away, and I think that a little bit of bright in there really
just sets them off.
Mm-hmm.
I can see that.
Kind of goes the distance, But congrats to everybody who did well in the tournament. The Stevens brothers, they brought in a good sack. They cleaned up. They won second place in the trout creel. They got the lunker on trout, and they won redfish. Nice. So man, they had a jam up tournament.
What was the big lunker trout?
I am not.
Don't remember.
I'm not 100% sure, and I haven't seen the final results on the lunker and
I haven't either.
And where everybody finished, but they had an amazing day. And then I think John Howard and David Hare came in third.
Oh, geez.
Oh yeah, for sure. David's one of the founders of the tournament.
So we were talking about earlier. So this is the 28th year.
That's
started
right.
in 1992.
92.
It's crazy.
It is cool. It's cool to think about. I've probably been fishing these things since about 2007. So this is like my 14th or 15th year, I think.
Yeah.
Fishing these things is pretty neat.
It is cool.
It's cool. There's a lot of history behind it. A lot of people have come and gone through this deal over 28 years.
Oh yeah.
So
it's cool to see. A lot of legends been fishing this thing
I would
for a
say
while.
it's one of the more prestigious, like artificial only trout tournaments around. That's why Bobcat and I are like addicts when it comes to the wintertime, man. That's all we can't get that Battle of the Grubs off our mind. It's a lot of fun.
Well, it feels like winter today for sure, man. I can't believe it's already middle of December.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy.
Yep.
Got your Christmas shopping done?
Man, I wouldn't say I've got it done, but I've got I got a couple things on my wish list.
What you want this year?
Man, something cool.
What's Santa bringing you this year?
Well, Santa's bringing me a new boat here, I think next week, so I'm getting a boat. So I've been kind of shopping for my accessories and stuff. I was looking on PowerPole's website. They have an incredible new battery charger.
I saw that. I think Patrick posted something about it.
Man, it's pretty neat. So what it does is you can plug it into the wall, and it'll charge. It's a 4-bank charger, so it'll charge your 3. I have 36-volt system, so I have 3 trolling motor batteries. So it'll charge all 3 of those, and it'll charge a cranking battery. And then when you take it off of the plug and you crank up and you're using your boat, it actually figures out how to charge your batteries while you're on your big engine. So you're constantly kind of bringing your batteries up all the time.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. So you think about like some of these situations, maybe when you're offshore fishing or something, you never shut your engine off. You're never going to have to worry about running your batteries down.
Right.
Or if you are, making a big move somewhere throughout the day, you're getting a little bump on your batteries there.
Sure. Run the trolling motor for a couple 3 hours and then run to the run to your next spot, and you're back up to par.
Yeah, that's right.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, it's really neat. And then the other cool thing about it too is it's got its own battery backup in it. So say you did like run your stereo too long or your live wells while you have your big engine off or something like that, and you kill your battery, it's got something built into it that can essentially jump your battery off. So all kinds of cool.
It's all inclusive. Sounds like that's your one-stop shop.
That's right. And just knowing Power Pole's attention to detail and the quality of the product they make, it's going to be great. That's something I always commend Power Pole on over the years is they already have an awesome product, and they have done nothing but continually improve it. Every year there's a new feature or new add-on or something like that to your system, and their customer service is just through the roof as well. anytime you have an issue with it, snap a picture, email it, send your serial number in, and they'll overnight you parts.
It's awesome.
So
That's hard to beat.
I've yet to find anything negative to say about them. It's been an unbelievable, to watch them to do as well as they
they came on hot. They came on the scene pretty hot, I feel like.
Mm-hmm. I want to say about 2008 or 9 is when they first came out.
And they were everywhere immediately.
Yeah, and I remember installing the first one on my boat. It was kind of tough. You had to run hydraulic lines and wires and stuff like that. Now they've made it so easy. All you have to do is run your hydraulic lines to wherever you're going to put your pump, and then you just hook your pump to power, and that's it. There's no rigging up a dash switch or some crazy thing to, you got to click.
You got to activate it or whatever.
Yeah, you got to click the left button 3 times and click the right one 2 times, and then hold the button on the. It's so seamless now. You can connect to it with your telephone. I've forgotten.
Really?
I've forgotten my remote before, and use my telephone as my remote. They're an incredible company.
That's awesome.
So that's on my Christmas list. What about you?
Man, I'm looking into reels. I need to expand my rod and reel arsenal for sure. I've been looking at some super nice Shimano stuff.
Well, I'm a Corrado guy. I freaking love those. I like the older versions of the Corrados, the 200 E7s. I don't know what you'd call me. I guess I'm a collector now. I think I have 16 of them in my possession. So.
Yeah, just keep rebuilding them. That's awesome. Yeah, I've been looking at some of the spinning stuff. They have the Stella SWC.
Oh man.
Yeah, maybe Santa Claus will bring me one of those.
That's a nice one. I've really been wanting to get my hands on one of these. Their new bait casters that have the digital control in them. Mm-hmm. I was talking to someone at ICAST last year, and they were telling me that electronics inside the reel read the spool. They read the spool speed 1,000 times per second and adjust your brake.
I can't even fathom that.
I know that is crazy.
That's smarter than I am. It's a pretty smart reel.
And then, of course, I started asking. Of course, I'm always, that's a great product out of the box, but is it going to hold up to what I'm going to put it through, which is a bunch of salt water? And the guy was telling me that they had like some of their pro staff guys take the reel and dip it in pure salt water every day for like 6 months until the reel was pretty much corroded completely apart. Took the digital control out of the braking system, put it in another reel, and it worked perfectly.
Pretty good.
The whole reel can fall apart before the electronic part of it's going to go down. That's pretty cool.
That's good because that's the first thing I think of. Is that's just something else to break,
Oh yeah, of course. Of course.
Leave it to them to make something like that. I love me some Shimano stuff for sure.
That's cool. Well, who are we talking to today?
Let's get into this deal, man. We're going to go down first and talk to the Bama Beach Bum.
Beach Bum.
Yep. Then we got Kyle Smith with Skin Deep Sport Fishing next. And we're going to see what Captain Ugly's doing, Captain Patric Garmeson. Let's head on down and see what the Beach Bum's up to. What you been catching down there, Matthew? Tell us a fish story, buddy.
Hey, what's up, guys? Yeah, it's been tough for me. If you're listening to this podcast and you watch my videos, I've still been putting out some videos and getting by with what I can, but fishing has not been great for me personally. The shorebound angler, definitely, we're getting into the tough season for us. Like there's just not many options, and usually those options aren't great. So just really trying to make anything happen. And on our trips, we've really been focusing on whiting, which whiting do get bigger this time of year. We do catch more consistently, those 12 to 14 inches, which are really nice. I mean, for table fare, but we always do like to have an opportunity, at least at your pompano or drum species like the redfish or black drum. But those are just kind of limited right now, just not seeing a lot of them. And especially the pompano, which has been it's been disappointing this fall. I can't really put my finger on what turned them off for us this year. We usually have a much better fall. But personally, obviously doing this for my job, I put in a lot of time and lost some sleep over trying to locate these fish this fall, moving around and using different baits and different rigs. And anything that I've ever had success with was not successful this fall in putting together a solid day for pompano. So definitely did my homework and put in the time and effort and energy to try to locate them. But I just guess they weren't here.
Yeah.
Only synopsis with that for this fall.
Well,
but
Matt,
looking forward, I think things throughout the winter can be tough. and we're in that period. If you're fishing from the beach, or not, or from the pier, it can be difficult. But whiting should be solid. That's usually your best target. And as we get into winter, we do get opportunities at big fish, like our big black drum, our big redfish. It's not something that you can go out and like crush it. You're not going to go out and just have like a stellar day of hammering these big fish. But if you're going to catch some fish for the cooler, you've got your whiting, which you can usually locate those pretty easy throughout the winter. And then you have an opportunity while you're there to hook into a big fish or two and have a good time. So like that's really what I aim to do on our trips throughout the winter that you've got coming up. That's my main focus, and to try to put a cap on the day with a big fish and also some fish in the cooler.
Yeah, something you said made me think just about being the profession that you and I are in of taking folks fishing and whatnot is try not to force something. That's when I really struggle a lot whenever you have days when you have customers like specifically want to target pompano like for you, and it's just not really happening. You just got to focus on what's biting, what's going on, So for right now, it sounds like it's whiting and sheephead, and there might be a red or a black drum mixed in the mix, and I have periods like that where I can't catch my speckled trout quite as good because they're real finicky, just like pompano are. So instead of trying to force that issue, sometimes you just got to go catch what's biting, and make that as fun and enjoyable as it can be. And, you said something about table fare. There's not a lot else that I would want to eat than a whiting. That's a very, very good table fare fish.
Delicious.
Not as good as a pompano, but still very good.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I've even said, in not so many words, stated that in videos. It's like I go out and I have a plan, especially when I'm fishing for myself. I try to have like a plan and a target, even if it's not necessarily the best, because I can put in a little more time than necessarily a fishing trip that's paid, and really be stubborn and try to target a particular fish. But we don't get to make those decisions all the time, Mother Nature is in control and these fish are in control. And, obviously we can study them and pattern them and hope for the best and know the most that we can about these fish. But some days it just ain't going to happen. And, you just got to catch what's there, what's biting. And it may not be what you want, but, at least you got to catch some fish.
That's right. You got to adapt and overcome. You got to, like you said, you got to catch what's biting.
That's right.
That's right.
Make the most of what you got. Golly, it's just terrible to sometimes when you try to force something and it just won't happen. And that's I think that's what's part of being a good captain, good guide, good fisherman. Is seeing the signs, seeing the writing on the wall. Versatility. That's right. Yep. And then moving on and doing something different. Just interest your day.
That's something you have to learn as moving into fishing from I'm still recent to this, moving into it from a hobby to a profession. It can be so frustrating in that, you have expectations, you have what people want to catch, you have what you want to catch, and what you want to provide for folks. And you feel like, you get in a groove and you're like, man, I know what I'm doing. I've got this down. And regardless of how much of that it's still it's like some days you may be trying to fit a square peg in a round hole. And even if you know better, sometimes it's still so hard to be like, why is this not working? Like, I can do this. And it just isn't going to happen regardless of what you do. So you're right. And you just got to train your brain to understand those things and see it when it's happening and have a plan B, a plan C, a plan D, of what you got to do and where you got to go and what you got to target.
Yep, for sure. Well, and I hope things heat up pretty soon here on the surf front. I mean, I remember talking last year, and we were talking about Christmas pompano. Mm-hmm. And you guys were catching them pretty good.
Yeah, and December, I remember, I think it was last year, because I'm not running that many trips this time of year, but usually I think around December, it was after Christmas last year. I want to say it was like December 29th. We caught like 4 pompano and 3 nice size permit. And like most of the month, we had not done too well leading up to it. But like that day, I was like, man, this is a great day for December 29th. So, yeah, I mean, there's definitely opportunities. And I think just depending on those water temperatures, which right now, last I saw, I think on the Gulf side, they were running about 67, 68. And that's perfect for pompano. Mm-hmm. Like, they should be there. But, it just depends. I think if you just don't catch it right, it's just whether it be a cold front that comes through and those pressure systems shut them down, or if we get dirty water, like I fished yesterday or the day before yesterday, for a long period of time, and our water had gotten really dingy after that last rain. Even though water temps were right, surf looked right, tides looked right, everything else looked right. And I think that clarity just really shut it down, despite the fact, I mean, I moved 3 different beaches, tried to find the clearest water that I possibly could, still couldn't make it happen. So, I think there's really, whereas, like if you get in the spring and you get something like that where it's like just a little bit off, usually you can still overcome that. But I think this time of year, I mean, it's just, everything's got to line up perfect, for that day to come together. Whereas there's just not enough fish here and enough activity to overcome one of those obstacles. It's really got to be perfect water temp, conditions, waves, tides. Like you got to really catch it all coming together.
Sure. Well, that's all right, man. It's all good. Before we leave, we want to get that tip from you. This week's onshore tip is brought to us by KillerDock. Today, we want to talk about a common form of dock dysfunction. It's called skinny dock. Narrow finger piers, catwalks around boat slips, even bulkheads. If you've got a skinny dock, you know it. You're not happy about it. But what can you do? Nothing until now. KillerDock fish cleaning stations are offset and can enhance your skinny dock so that you have the fish cleaning station that you're proud of. Check them out at KillerDock.com or on their Facebook page at KillerDock. What you think for a tip this week, bud?
In light of what we've been talking about, our main 2 targets right now, if you're fishing on shore, are going to be your whiting and your sheep's head. Like that's just really been the best bite. Definitely not trying to fit a square peg in a round hole. Stay focused. I would go out with those expectations. If something happens and you're out there and you get an opportunity to hit another fish, great. But I would go in with those expectations. And definitely this time of year, with it being as tough as it is, I would definitely downsize your tackle. We talk about that a lot, especially for those sheep's head. They can be hook and leader shy, as are the whiting. When we get those clear water days and you're looking at those fish, if you're on the pier, or if you can see them even swimming up close to the beach, you definitely want to use as light as tackle as you can. Sometimes I downsize to 6-pound test for whiting, size 2, size 4 hooks, really small, light stuff. Don't bring out the pompano setups, where you're trying to fling baits to Cuba or anything like that. Fish close, use light tackle. Don't miss opportunities that are going to be few and far between because you're using too heavy a tackle. Make sure you got those bases covered, and you should still be able to have a successful day.
I mean, you're talking close. I mean, you're casting like within the, on this side of the first bar. I mean, you're talking like 15 or 20 feet, right?
Oh, yeah.
They're super close.
Literally, I showed in the video about a week ago, I was barely, I was basically just taking the rod, holding it out over the water and almost dropping it. Not even casting. I mean, they were about 5 or 10 feet off the beach.
Wow.
The whiting that we were catching. Whereas baits, I had 3 baits out deep, like where you would traditionally cast pretty much. And then I had 2 baits where I was just rolling it off the beach almost. And we didn't get a single bite, not exaggerating, not a single bite, not a sniff over the course of 2 days out deep where you would traditionally cast. But we caught fish. All we caught were whiting. We caught some good ones, but everything was within 5 to 10 feet of the beach.
Have you sight casted a whiting yet? Been able to see one and pitch a little jig to them or something, or is that not? Really?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, in the summertime, it's a little easier to do. I mean, right now, it wasn't quite clear enough that day that we were out there catching them that close to be able to see them. But in the summertime, absolutely, yeah. We get some days where it's just uber clear. You're almost standing on top of them, and you can drop those baits and you can pick off which ones you want because you'll see them in schools, and you can pick out the bigger ones and all. It's pretty cool. I mean, even though it's whiting and not many people get excited about it, like that's pretty fun being able to pick off which ones you want and see them. All of it happening right there in front of you, basically at your feet.
Yeah, the thought that comes to mind when you talk about that is maybe like redneck bone fishing, huh?
Pretty much, actually. Yeah,
it is. Yeah, it's the Alabama bonefish. That's
I love that. That's good.
They look like it a little bit, just a little bit, especially like when you're looking at them in the water because they're so camouflaged.
Yeah,
and they hang. They almost with that sand color like a bonefish would be.
Yep.
I mean, it kind of looks similar to that.
That's funny.
That's awesome. I like that one, Richard. Well, Matthew, things can get better from here. You got to keep looking up, man. They're going to change soon. Get some Christmas pompano again for you. I can feel it. That's right. Well, I'm actually taking the next 2 weeks off. I'm going to be hunting anyway. So nice.
You guys can have the tough fishing. I'll be out in the woods trying to kill a deer.
That's right. Trying to fill the freezer, man. I like it.
Well, That's right.
We appreciate you being on, man. I'm sure we'll talk to you soon. If people want to book a trip with you, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
Yeah, my website, it's staybummy.com. That's STAYBUMMY.
Man, we appreciate you, Matthew, and we'll talk to you soon, bud.
Thank you, man.
All right, thanks, guys.
Sound like the old Bama Beach Bum struggling a little bit in the surf, man. I think it's just that time of year.
That's right, man. I like the Beach Bum.
Me too.
He always keeps it real. Lets us know what's going on.
Hey, it is what it is. Report's the report.
That's the report. Speaking of reports, we're going to go to our offshore report. We got Kyle Smith with Skin Deep Sportfishing. How you doing today, buddy?
I'm good. How are y'all doing?
Man, we're staying cozy indoors today. I've been in my rod shop all day. Tinkering with reels and rods and stuff like that, trying to just keep all my equipment up to par.
Take advantage of your downtime a little bit.
That's right. Sounds like you're chasing some gremlins in your boat this morning, huh?
Yeah, we got a little leak falling right now, but hopefully it'll show its face and I get it fixed. Yeah, that's why they call them boats.
All part of it.
Well, I always tell folks all the time that when there's not something broken on my boat at all times, or something that needs attention, I almost get a little bit nervous. Like if it almost seems like everything's going a little too smooth, the wheels are about to come off or the prop's going to come off or something, and you're going to be in real bad shape. So I always kind of like just a short laundry list of things I need to get to, man.
I wish my list was short.
Your boat's a little bigger.
Well, my dad used to always say something interesting. He said he was talking about boats, owning offshore boats and then moving to inshore boats. And he used to always say, for every foot of boat equals a certain amount of work. The bigger the boat, the bigger the list, I guess. But sounds like you guys had a good trip late last week offshore. You want to tell us about it?
Yes, sir. Yeah, we went out Thursday evening and we tried to do a little chunking that night and ended up with no luck. Marked some fish. They were down deep. Woke up early Friday morning, made our baits, and started live baiting around and ended up going 2 for 5 on blue marlin. And we saw some big tunas jumping around. We never had any shots at any good tuna fish, but I know there was a bunch of boats out there that did catch them. So they're still around. The blues are still around. And we had a great trip. It was real pretty weather. I mean, when you go out there and it's still 70 degrees and you can leave the door open all day and wake up in the morning, you're wearing a sweater and pants. By the midday, you're wearing your board shorts and long sleeve and you're not sweating. It's always a good time.
Oh yeah. So you said something about live baiting. Were y'all live baiting those marlin or for the tuna?
Yeah, we were mainly targeting blue marlin, so we were using bigger blackfin or bonitas and some skippies, but most of our baits are anywhere from 10 to 12 pounds, and our bycatch is going to be if we don't hook a big blue, it's going to be hopefully a big tuna.
You guys fishing due south of here on those stumps?
No, sir. We were a little southwest, about 130 miles, and it's a long poke out there. But there's fish everywhere, though. I mean, if you can find some good altimetry and some decent current, you're going to find some tuna fish and some blue marlin.
That altimetry thing is something
you and I were talking about that Thursday.
I know. So Kyle, I'm an inshore guy. That's what I do is target speckled trout and redfish, and I have that under like a microscope as a science. But I heard the word altimetry this summer from a friend of mine, and that's really interesting that they can tell difference in the sea level, in certain areas, and that triggers fish to bite or to be around that area or whatnot. That just blows my mind. How far we've come with looking at the weather
from a satellite picture. You guys checking Hilton's for that, Kyle?
Yes, sir. Yeah, we religiously stay on. I mean, even when I'm not fishing, I like to look at it. Just to
keep your finger on the pulse. Sure.
Yeah. I mean, I enjoy looking at it. He's got an accurate. Gosh, what would you say? I guess website or app or whatever you want to call it. But
yeah, all of it. Yeah, it's super awesome.
It's been very useful for us. I mean, we live by it.
Man, tell us a little bit about what you do with the live baiting part of it. I know that I've obviously talked a lot about this subject, and it's a bucket list item for me. I've caught a couple blue marlin in my life. But I think it would just absolutely send me over the moon to be able to feed a live blackfin tuna to a marlin. That just seems super exciting. But I understand there's a ton of work that goes into that. You want to talk about that for a little bit?
Man, we like during tournaments, we'll get up at 3 in the morning, 2:30, 3 in the morning, and start making bait. Because if we catch our baits quick, that's not the problem. Then we got to start, going through some of our baits that, we think are a little too big, or, hey, this one kind of came up a little weird, or he was bleeding a little bit, or, we'll pick through our baits. We're pretty picky about them. And then when we get to where we're happy, we'll have the tube slap full, whether it be, little yellowfin, blackfin, skippies are, always a favorite. And then we'll bridle them up, and the bite it could be real subtle. It could be real lackadaisical, or, we had one on Friday that, absolutely just burned it down. Came up and no questions asked, was just ready to eat.
Tell us a little bit about the bites.
Was on the rod, and he was turned around looking at me, had his hand still on the spool, and it burned the tip of his fingers down.
Oh, wow.
Because it just happened that quick. And it was one of those bites where you're like, well, that's he's got it, So, and then we also had that trip where one came up, and I was watching it back there, just real lackadaisical, and I had him reel the bait up real quick, and just that subtle movement, and he came up and boiled on it and then ate it. So you get a lot of different bites out of them. Sometimes they come up there and they're ready to eat, and sometimes they'll just kind of interested and see what you got up there.
That's right. So when you guys get a bite, I'm assuming you're fishing on your outriggers. And when you get a bite, how long are you putting the reel and free spool before you set the hook, or do you have like a certain amount of line you're letting out, or how do you judge all that?
It depends. If they come up and they just, if they're eating, if they come up and they boil it down right away, then I don't give them much time. I'll tell them, hey, go ahead and lock it up. He's obviously got that. If he's grabbed it and he's taken off with it, lock it up. He's got it. Now those fish that come up and you just see your outrigger bouncing back and forth where he's kind of just building that bait. And we'll let him sometimes up to 6 or 7 seconds, but not
at the
not
longest.
That long usually.
Okay. I gotta assume your first one, like 7 seconds, probably seems like 5
eternity.
Minutes, like when you're sitting there, the anticipation of it.
You want to say lock it up right away, but sometimes they'll dog bone them and just hold them in the side of their, hold the bait sideways in their mouths, and you'll pull the hook out of them, or the bait and the hook out of their mouths.
Have you ever seen where you pull the bait out of their mouth and then maybe free spool it again and they'll come back and hit it again, or is it pretty much?
Yeah, absolutely. The trip before last, we had one come up and eat, came tight on it, the fish jumped out of the water, spit the bait back out, or the bait came out of his mouth, and the bait swam right at the boat, and the fish came back and ate it again right behind the boat.
Man,
that's awesome.
Same fish. It was pretty incredible. Yeah, and we almost had another double this last trip. We had a fish on. Fish was jumping away from the boat, and my boss was reeling in his bait, skipping it across the surface, and got it right behind the transom. And a real solid 500-pound fish. Right behind the boat, was just lit up trying to eat it.
That's sick.
It was.
That's a big
incredible
fish.
Yeah.
It was fishy. It's still fishy out there. I'm ready for some good weather so we can go back out.
Man, this is a great time of the year to go fishing. Even when you're doing any type of fishing, it's just awesome when it's cool like this.
Yeah.
Because you can work so hard and stay cool.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
it's a game changer.
And not get fatigued or anything, or not feel fatigued because the heat's sucking something out of you.
A lot.
Yeah, it's really nice. And then you get these nice weather windows in between the fronts when it blows. You get like hopefully 1 or 2 day little window where you can bounce out and have some nice calm weather.
That's right. Yeah, it's messing with my duck hunting a little bit going fishing this much, but I'm not complaining.
I was about to say, man, you got to pick your battles whenever it's this good.
Man, come on, them ducks don't need any attention, man. You need to be catching a fish.
That's right.
All right, man. Well, we're going to give you the Hey Cap question this week. This week's Hey Cap question is brought to us by Foster Contracting. The recent thunderstorms and winds have been producing wind and hail in the area and may have damaged your home's roof. The certified roofing pros at Foster Contracting offer free roof inspections, and if your roof has received damage, most homeowners will have little or no cost out of pocket when going through your insurance. If you're looking for a quality construction with a dependable, licensed, and certified fortified roofing professional, give the Fortified Roofing Pros a call at 251-973-9999. They're a family-owned business that is big enough to get the job done, but small enough to care. Remember to support the local businesses that make your local podcast possible, and check them out at fortifiedroofingpros.com.
Man, great people over there at Foster's.
Good people, man.
Oh yeah,
big fan of Chad and Corinda and everyone that works for them as well.
Very nice people.
All right, so Josh Kane is going to get the slick lure goodies this week.
Ooh,
I know, that's an exciting time of year for some slick lure goodies.
Better not let me get my hands near them.
Keep you out of my office. Josh emailed us at alabama@bestfishingreport.com to get his question in. And Josh asks, I've been wanting to target a marlin for a while now, but I don't want to kill one by neglect or not knowing exactly how to release it alive and healthy. After hearing last week's report, it makes me want to try even more. Do you clip the leader and leave the hook when it's that close to the boat, or do you try and get it boat side and remove the hook? So what is your best advice on releasing a healthy blue marlin, Kyle, I would say?
Yeah, that's going to be a great question and
Agreed.
answer. I can't wait.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you have one that's, lit up real well and healthy, I mean, the biggest thing you want to do is keep the boat in gear, and you don't want to over drown them either. You don't want to get too much water going. You don't want to be going too fast, but you don't want to be going too slow. But if you got a good healthy one and the fish is acting right, lit up, and you can get the hook out of its mouth without stressing the fish out, yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of times when we release fish, we try to get on them pretty quick, and we'll pop the leader on them when they're acting real green still, just because we don't want to put a lot of stress on the fish. And
I think a lot of those circle hooks rust out, don't you?
Yes, sir. 100%. I mean, they do. And like I said, if you can get on them quick and especially when we're out fishing tournaments, we don't want to stress the fish out because
Sure.
we don't want to kill them. We don't have a need to. So
I think there's a lot of factors that come into play here. We were talking a little bit earlier. I think a lot of it depends on, like you're talking about, the fish and the health the fish is in, how long you fight the fish, and the boat that you're on. I mean, the boat that you're on makes a world of difference on, the strategy on releasing that healthy fish.
That's right. Like how your gunnel height and stuff like that, how your ability to get your hands down to the water, obviously, is going to be a big factor in that.
I mean, you fished on the Escape some. It's very interesting to de-hook a marlin on the side of the Escape. It's
6 foot tall.
Oh, at least 6 foot.
Yeah.
And well, I mean, yeah, but then you got to go over the gunnel. I mean, I've got pictures and video of me holding Joe, he's 6'6" by the ankles, and he's over the side of the boat grabbing him by the bill.
Yeah,
we've tried snooters.
That's pretty intense, right there.
It is, man. Some friendship trust right there for sure.
Yeah, but it's interesting you say about keeping the boat in gear. I think that's probably where a lot of people probably mess up on a billfish, or really that matter for trying to take a lot of, like, especially when we're talking about bigger, pelagics, stuff like that. Keeping the boat in gear, I think, is real important, because you can get the fish pointed in a direction and you can kind of work on him with the rod quite a bit, nice and slow and smooth right up to the boat. Keep him, try not to pull their head up out of the water, keep them down just below the water, and then make a move on it and get control of it, and either pop the hook out or use your cutter tool, or you say pop them off. I don't know if you guys use a little tool to cut the line or whatnot.
We'll usually just hold on to the leader, and we do a lot of snelling. And a snell is that's a knot that's made to break right there at the eye of the hook.
Okay.
So if you hold on to that leader real hard and just let them swim off, and they'll pull away from them a little bit and pop them right off.
Right.
Because we're not using real heavy leaders either. Anywhere from 180 to 200 pound tests. So.
Right. Yeah. And you said something before we came on about you catch fish with hooks in them all the time. I do that as well. You catch redfish are notorious, and of course a few speckled trout here or there. But I catch great healthy fish all the time that have hooks in them already. And most of the time you get lucky if you can get a hold of them. You can get that hook out and release them with less tackle than they had in them when you caught them. So
a little less bling.
That's right. It doesn't affect them. And those hooks don't take long to rust out. They really don't.
That's right.
So, Josh, I hope we answered your question, man. Sounds like we need to give you a more exact question. I would want to know what kind of boat you're fishing from, honestly.
Yeah.
Just because I've done both. I've done, fishing on the Vikings and the Lady Ann. That 57 Gilman is cakewalk releasing one compared to the Escape. So
right, or even that matter, like fishing a boat with outboards. I'm sure it's got to be a completely different deal as well.
Sure, I would think so.
Yeah, for sure, because you don't have quite as much maneuverability out of a boat with outboards as you do inboards. But sometimes the gunnel height's a little higher on some of those boats as well. So you kind of got to think through those things a little bit. Man, that's a great answer, though, Kyle. Man, appreciate you. Appreciate you coming on the show. Appreciate you coming on the show and telling us giving us some of your knowledge. That's some really, really priceless stuff for some guys who've never gone out and done that.
I don't know if it's knowledge or luck. And probably a lot of luck.
Hey, well, you know, I always say I'd rather be lucky than good. All day long and twice on Sunday.
Beat me to it. Yep. That's what I was going to say, too. Well, Kyle, we appreciate it, man. Keep whacking them. We'll talk to you soon.
Yes, sir.
Man, what a great offshore report. That's some really, really exciting news to hear. You know, I mean, I was just tickled to death listening to Kyle talk about those. Talk about live baiting those blue marlins, man. Like I said, that's one of my bucket list things. I've caught a few marlin in my life, but that is something I just absolutely.
I've never live baited them.
Man, it just sounds exciting. Just thinking about feeding a 10-pound fish to
a 500-pound fish.
I mean, that's
cool, and you can watch it.
That's really cool.
I want to get you on our, we try and do like a spring and a fall trip on the Escape every year. I'd like to get you on our offshore trip with me and Joe. That'd be fun.
Oh, yeah.
Get all of us. It'd be fun. I'd like to see Bobby tied up on something big.
Yeah, right. Oh, man. Well, cool. Who we talking to next? I guess we got inshore.
Yeah, man. Kind of your realm. Let's head on down and see what Captain Patric Garmeson's doing with ugly fishing. How we doing today, Captain Patric?
Man, I'm doing well, guys. How y'all doing today?
Good, man. Good, man. Watching the wind blow. We just saw a beautiful bald eagle fly by. America. Just
America. I hear you.
How about you, man?
I stayed indoors today myself, working on the website and doing some of that business stuff today. But
sounds like what everybody's doing.
Been on the water most of all of this, leading up to today and the last week. Kind of been doing a lot of the same stuff that I was talking about the last time I was on. Going for trout in the morning, trying to make that thing work. And if it doesn't, and the customers are just wanting to bend the rod, then we'll switch gears towards redfish or sheephead or both. And each and every day we've been able to put stuff together and put some fish on the end of the rod. And that's been the fun thing to do, is keeping that rod bent, using a variety of tactics to be able to get it done. So instead of it just being a monotonous fishing attempt, we got a bunch of different tactics we get to break into.
Yeah, it seems like that's kind of been the story for me too, Patrick, is something you said there made me think that is with the speckled trout, it's kind of been a little bit of they've been a little finicky as far as like early morning or tidal movement, something like that, especially some of these rivers we've been fishing in.
I actually wanted to say earlier, whenever you and I were fishing, we were fishing the slick lures earlier in the day, and man, it was, 15, 20 feet from the boat, it was so cold that morning, but they were just kind of rolling on it.
Yeah.
Not really hitting it, but just kind of chasing it up, and they would just come up and just belly up on it like a dang blue marlin or something.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, so it's kind of been like it's been kind of an early thing. I think Patrick's like kind of pretty much hitting the nail on the head as far as like where to be when, doing your trout thing first thing in the morning. And then once the sun gets on up, and we had there's some really clear water around in some of these tidal rivers right now. So once the sun gets up, you got some of these bluebird days like we had last week. It makes sense that the fish kind of almost shut down to an extent. And then Patrick's switching gears and hitting this redfish and sheephead thing. That's really interesting. Really way to stay efficient.
Yeah, it's been a good way to keep the rod bent for sure. And I tell you what, I want to comment a little bit on the on the clear water. I've been doing a good bit of fishing out in the bay, catching trout and sheephead and redfish out in the bay. And man, there's a lot of really, really clear water out there as well. And I've found that if you get a little bit of cloud cover, like we were literally marking sheephead on the bottom machine. I was watching them. You could see them. We were dropping lines down. We weren't getting bit. And we had a cloud roll over, and instantly those fish started biting. And this was in a really, really calm wind condition. So we were sitting about 10 or 12 feet of water, and the water was almost glass calm with minimal tide movement. But as soon as those clouds rolled over, those fish started biting. So even the ones that are fairly aggressive, they're still being a little bit finicky in certain situations.
Yeah, we were talking to Bama Beach Bum for the onshore report, and he was basically in his tip today. He gave that same
About the same thing.
Yeah, kind of something similar, just stepping down your tackle. You know, he was catching some fish in some shallower water closer to the beach, and he's stepping his tackle down to 6 pound line, you know, to get some of these whiting and sheephead and stuff to bite, you know. So it's kind of the same deal there, you know.
Just don't beat your head against the wall. You got to be versatile and adapt to what's happening.
Yep. Don't just keep trying the same thing over and over again, expecting different results.
Oh,
you know?
Oh yeah, there's a lot of fish that are biting. Even like the other day, I took my son out. We did some sheephead fishing, and that was actually the case where I saw that cloud cover move in, and all of a sudden the fish started biting, and we were catching sheephead, and then the cloud cover stayed with us. So I went out in the bay and where I'd been catching a few trout, and went out there and throwing a slick lure, and normally I'd been having some success with it, and man, I wasn't getting anything, and then switched over to the Betts Halo Shad, which has a little bit more of a mirror in it, and man, we started catching them pretty good. So it was a really cool deal where the slick had been working, and in fact, it didn't work this time. It doesn't mean it's not going to work the next time out, but that Halo Shad ended up catching a lot of fish for us, and just one little switch like that really helped us out and put some fish in the boat.
Man, Patrick, I really don't appreciate you lying to all these people and telling them that the slick lure did not catch fish. Okay, because I take great offense to that. That you're telling people that the slick lure doesn't catch them.
I get it, man. But it was
sometimes
it was the facts, and I
right.
threw it to start the morning or start the trip, and didn't work, and throw the Halo Shad, and it worked. But I assure you, we caught many fish off of that area weeks prior to that on the slick lure. So I don't know what changed their behavior on that particular day, but for some reason they had a little different attitude that day.
Well, I completely believe you, and I'm just poking fun at you about the slick lure, because I think everybody knows how I feel about the slick lure. It's amazing how something that subtle, you know, where you're fishing what I would consider a soft plastic twitch bait, and you switch over to a swim bait. And you know, Patrick, you and I have talked several times about this. Is it called the Halo Shad? Is that correct?
That's right.
That the Betts Halo Shad, and how you just chunk and wind that thing. You just cast it out there and reel it back in, and that would be like that'd be like getting a root canal or something for me, you know what I mean? Where just casting and
reeling.
reeling.
Can jig it a little bit and it might entice a bite, but I just find that the chunk and wind works pretty well.
Yeah, well, I mean, but it's just interesting how something that, you know, you're basically working almost the same profile type of bait, and they want one that's just swimming straight in a line with a little wiggly tail versus one with a straight tail that I'm jerking along, you know. So
hey, they want what they want.
Hey, it is, but I mean that's why Patrick's better than me, you know what I mean? He has the patience and the will to figure stuff out, you know. I kind of get a little hard-headed.
Stubborn.
If they won't bite a slick lure, man, I'm I don't want to catch those fish. They won't eat a slick lure. You know, I gotta go somewhere where they're gonna eat the slick. You know, those are the ones I want to get. But that's pretty good report. Patrick, let me ask you a question. What do you think about this forecasted rise we have at Berry Steam Plant on the Mobile River is going to do to us? Looks like into the weekend. Looks like it might start coming up Friday, Saturday.
I think that front just brought a good bit of rain in.
Yeah, it's hard to tell.
Sure. I just pulled it up, and I was curious about it, and I was going to ask you guys about it. Looks like it's going from 2.6 to 4.3 on the 15th, which is what? Is that today?
Yep, it is.
Yesterday.
Yeah. What do you think about that, Patrick? You think that's gonna?
We're gonna see the water quality go down every day. Probably Wednesday, Thursday, Friday will still be basically what we have right now, and then every day Saturday through probably Tuesday, it'll get muddier and muddier. Now this water's gonna, the muddy water's gonna be on top, because we rebounded from that last rise with a lot of salt water pushed back up in the Delta and up Mobile River and all. So that rise we'll probably see the worst effects of it probably Sunday or Monday, and then it'll progressively start cleaning up from there. But I don't see anything earth shattering that's going to really shut things down or just make conditions unfishable or anything like that. But, unfortunately, we've had some pretty good conditions the last week or so. And I checked numerous areas in the Delta, like Mobile or Raft and Tensas and Appalachia, and man, just not finding a lot of speckled trout life in those areas, which is unfortunate. So I don't think we're going to see much of a change in it being bad like it is right now as far as catching speckled trout. So redfish should hold in pretty good, and then I would say just change your focus to checking into Mobile River, Dog River, getting some good reports out of Bon Secure and Magnolia on the east side, and shoot with these warm temperatures like this. Little Lagoon has probably got some trout firing off in there. So, I mean, there's a lot of options out there. So I don't think that rise is going to really destroy anything or make anything terrible.
I really like some of these periods. Now it's not the most glorious fishing in the world going into to places like the Mobile River, but usually when we have a little flush like this every once in a while, especially this time of year, it seems to bunch the fish up a little bit. To me, it'll I think pushes them down the Mobile River, and it bunches them up in some of these deeper water slips that we like to fish in the Mobile River.
Saltwater.
That's right, because that saltwater is much, much denser, and it wants to lay on the bottom. And like Patrick was talking about a minute ago, hopefully this little bit of a light flush, that muddy, dirty water is just going to float right across the top of it and get on out of here. Because in my opinion, the water quality is just absolute. I mean, really everywhere right now, the water quality is 7 or better for each system that I've been to as well.
Sure.
It's really good, and I'd agree with you on the Mobile River thing. I mean, that place always seems to get better right after it gets muddy. It always seems to get better, right as it starts to clean back up. And I'm with you that it seems as if it'll push them to the bottom and make them actually easier to catch.
Yeah.
Because as it gets cleaner and warmer, it seems like they'll spread all throughout the water column. I was actually having to throw a swim bait to catch them in there one day. We went in there and we were trying to just kind of finish out the day and check on some areas, and threw a couple of shrimp up there, and they got hit on the way down. And I threw a jig a little bit, nothing on the bottom, and then threw a swim bait out there and started catching a few fish that were only probably 4 to 6 feet under the water surface, and we were sitting in about 22 feet of water.
Yeah, that's awesome, isn't it?
The muddy water will probably help that grub bite out for sure.
That's right. Well, something I've always noticed. Now, I know this is going to be real hard for you and I both to remember, but if you recall, we used to catch fish north of the Causeway in the deeper tidal rivers up there, in Tensas and Raft and Spanish and Appalachia and Blakely rivers. We used to be able to catch fish up there in the fall. I don't know what has happened with that. I hope that era of fishing is not over, because honestly, I can't remember if it was 2 or 3 years ago was the last time I caught fish up there.
Well, it wasn't last year.
No, definitely wasn't last year. And I was trying to think if we'd caught, maybe it just started to happen last year, the year before last, and got flushed out or not. But it seemed like back in the day when the Delta bite was going on and happening real good before we, having to battle this fresh water issue, that when the Delta would get flooded out with some of that fresh water, it seemed like the Mobile River got really good at those times. And I think that's what happens is a lot of those fish pull out of the Delta or pull out of the upper Mobile River, and they come down there to the bottom section of it. And, when I say bottom section, Cochran Bridge and down.
Sure.
Seem to really turn on and get good. But, like I said, hopefully the Delta thing, I'm sure it's just a run of bad luck with the weather. We'll see.
I don't know. You talk about the
I don't
salinity.
know if there's anything we could do about it.
No, it is what it is.
We just got to use our spidey senses and our electronics and our podcast, and we go find them, right?
Ooh,
that's right.
Electronics. He's speaking my tune right now.
That's right. I thought it was really cool the other day whenever you and I were fishing the Mobile, just scanning all the stuff. Mm-hmm. There's so much stuff up there, all the concrete and all that. It's a different world fishing, like, in these tidal rivers.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty cool. Well, we're going to get that tip from you, as always. This week's onshore tip is brought to us by Hilton's Offshore Charts. The days of heading out and blindly looking for good fishing areas are pretty much over. Don't waste time and money on fuel searching for fish. You need the most recent, highest resolution images to not only know where to go, but not where not to go. The knowledge provided by today's technology is critical when planning an offshore fishing trip. Make the choice that professional captains all over the Gulf make and choose Hilton's Real-Time Navigator. The easy-to-use interface and excellent customer service will have you on the fish every time you go. Check it out at hiltonsoffshore.com.
Man, that Hilton's is the real deal. We've already heard a guy on the show today talking about altimetry of the water, right? You know, golly, can you think about a hole in the water 150 miles offshore where it's 6 inches or 8 inches lower water or higher water, and that seems to be where the fish are because of Hilton's. I mean, that's pretty incredible.
It's awesome.
What's our tip going to be today, Patric?
Well, I don't know that it's quite altimetry related, but it is electronics related.
It has happened that way this week.
Yeah, I wish it was that easy.
So all of this, really all for the last several months, as the water got cooler, I have the ability to use my electronics a lot more, where I start going into like you said about Mobile River, or going into Theodore Canal or any of these deeper rivers, and start using the electronics to my advantage. Using the side vision, the down vision, the chirp sonar, all of that, looking for structure, looking for fish, and trying to keep myself in areas where I feel really confident in the fish that I'm looking at or the fish that I'm targeting. So utilizing that has been a big deal, as well as just watching the water temperature. I noticed that the other day we were fishing in the rivers. We were not having a lot of luck with the trout in the deeper rivers, and I noticed that the water temperature had gotten up to 65 degrees. So I was like, man, I'm just going to wing it and go back out into the bay and check on some areas. And sure enough, the fish were biting. The trout were biting good. And once I got out into the bay, we started seeing 66 degree water temperatures. My tip is, we're spending a lot of money, and I've said this before, a lot of people are spending a lot of money on electronics, whether it's Ray Marine, Lowrance, Simrad, whatever you're putting on your boat. They all have great capabilities of seeing fish, identifying fish, and then having water temperature readings and all of that stuff. And don't forget about that equipment while you're on the boat fishing, and help it maximize your day. So I can't give a better tip than that. Is just, go ahead and utilize that equipment you've got.
Man, I'm with you on that, Patrick. Being an inshore guy, I try not to look like a bass guy sometimes, which means having like a depth machine, a depth finder, or one of these multifunction displays at your helm, on the stern, on the bow, like have
one up on the trolling motor too.
Yeah, like all over the place.
It's a big deal, though.
I'm just poking because the bass guys are they're way more technical than Patrick and I are, about using their electronics. But I have gotten to the point this time of the year when we're fishing these rivers and the structure and stuff, I literally wish I had one up on the bow so I could see what's going on the entire time. And a lot of times I will fish from the back of the boat on purpose so that I can see the machine while I'm doing what I'm doing, to pay attention to it, because it, and I feel like a broken record preaching that all the time, is to paying attention to what you're doing when you're doing it. You know what I mean? Like when you have some success in the area, what does the bottom machine look like? What do those fish look like on the machine when I'm actually catching them? And that's something I've learned a little bit from Patrick over the years, is hearing him talk about watching his bottom machine. I've really
and you said it right, man. Watching it while y'all are actually catching fish and identifying what those fish look like while you're catching them.
Yeah.
Nav pod.
Yeah.
Like you guys need a nav pod.
That's what I need. Yep. That's
pretty cool.
Oh, yeah.
Nav pod. Nav pod's now making a sport fishing feature where they can house your waterproof machine up there, or it makes your machine waterproof up there on the bow by your trolling motor.
Yeah, that's cool. Butch and I are looking at it right now on the internet. This nav pod thing, it looks pretty functional, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah,
I might need to get one too. But
man, great report, Patrick.
yeah, I just can't second what Patrick's saying enough about using your electronics. It is something that I live and die by a lot of days.
Sure. I mean, I'm not calling you out, but the other day, I mean, you use your equipment a ton, and I mean, we just roll through places and, well, not much bait, not much fish here. Let's roll to the next. I mean, you scanned it, you bottom machined it.
That's right. And then you remember too, one of the areas that we had success through fishing before we even looked, and then we rolled through their electronics,
Stacked,
looking at it, and it just, I mean, the machine lit up.
Yep.
Oh yeah. And once you do that enough times, you know what you're looking for.
Sure.
You know what you're looking for when you roll it through, and it cuts a lot of homework out. You know what I mean?
a lot of wasted casts, honestly.
Yeah.
It's time.
You don't want to waste your cast.
I only got so many. I can't cast all that many times.
I hate to think these days about taking the guesswork out of fishing, because that's part of fishing.
Sure.
Is like actually getting out on the water. I mean, that's going to be the day of the dead right there. Is the day where you don't have to go out there and scan these places and actually fish to find where they are.
You look at the satellite shot and you go, well, the temperature is this much here. It's a little bit hotter.
Or maybe
here.
they're looking at they can tell you where the fish are by satellite one day
That's
or
what
something.
I'm saying.
I mean, I hate for that day to come along, but I'm going to use every resource I have available to go find a fish. And this is one of them. You know, you don't have to. You don't have to have a whole bunch to do that. Actually, I was looking on Ray Marine's website today, and I think for one of these newer Element machines that they're putting out, it's for a 12-inch screen, and it's got like the very best sonar that they offer nowadays. It's only about $1,800 for a 12-inch screen, and comes with a great mapping system in the whole 9 yards. So I mean, there's a lot of companies out there that are putting affordable machines out there.
That's what I was just about to say. Talk about affordable. You look at $1,800. You're like, man, that's a little steep. Look at what you got in your boat, in your tackle. That's a sneeze.
Yep,
that's a sneeze.
It is.
And to be able to be cutting edge.
Yeah, to think about cutting a lot of time out of your day.
Sure.
Just like I said, I mean, Patrick and I both do the same thing. We kind of just roll through an area this time of year when we think there's fish, and idle through. It takes you 10 or 15 minutes to idle a pretty good section of river, and you can tell whether there's life there or not.
For sure. Quickly. Age that we live in, man, is what it is.
Well, Patrick, thank you for that tip, man. That's really great. I know we kind of stole it right there from you at the end.
Sorry,
but
I got a little fired up about it.
Hey, well, we all do.
What else you got to add, Patrick?
Man, I don't know that I have much more. I mean, we're headed into a little bit funky weather this week, so it'll be, just got to roll with the punches. You're going to have some wind changes direction, so fish your leeward sides and use your electronics and go out there and whack them.
Yeah, for sure, man. You got any open trips in December?
Yeah, I've still got a couple open dates next week, and I think a little bit after that. It's coming on January before we know it, but a lot of opportunities still out there for us.
Ooh, I just got a warm, fuzzy feeling thinking about January and the Classic.
Yep.
I guess
Winter Classic, January 18th and 19th.
Yep. I guess we'll be covering that before we know it on the show, man.
Yep.
I am looking forward to defending my title on the Winter Classic.
Yep.
I don't know if I can keep it up, man. I feel like I got a big bullseye on my back.
You probably do. Everybody's gunning for you guys, I'm sure.
Trevor's coming down from Chicago to fish with me one extra day to pre-fish, so we're going to have one more day under our belt together out there hunting them trout down.
Good.
Tell him he's going to need it, and he better bring friends.
Better bring back up. Well, Patrick, if folks want to book a trip with you in December or January or just whenever, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
They can call me, 251-747-1554. You can shoot me a text at that same number. Still adding guys and gals to my text message community. So if you want to be a part of that, just text me at that number, 251-747-1554. Just put in the text fishing and then your first and last name so I can add you as a contact. And then you can check me out on the web at uglyfishing.com, and you can click the book now button on there, and you can see my calendar at any time. So heck, I had a guy book a trip the other night. It showed up that he booked it just after midnight. So I guess he might have been doing some late night beer drinking and fish shopping and decided to book a trip at midnight. But anyway,
Hey,
those options are there.
that's right, dude. That's awesome, man. We appreciate the report. That's a great tip. And as always, we enjoy having you on the show, buddy. Keep whacking them. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, Patric. Thank you, buddy.
All right, guys. Yep. Y'all be good. Thanks.
Dude, what a cool show.
Man, we've been all over the place, man. We've been from the beach to
120 miles offshore.
Yeah.
Eastern Shore, Dog River. We've been everywhere.
Man. Oh, you know what I love about the show in general is just the broadness of it. You know what I mean? We've talked to 3 different captains today, and they're all doing completely different things, having success. Beach Bum seemed like he was a little bummed.
He's struggling a little bit.
He was a little bummed about it. He's not, and it's not because he's not catching fish. He's not catching the fish he wants to catch.
That's exactly right.
And we all go through that.
Sure.
We all go through that. But I mean, it definitely sounds like it's not from lack of effort. I mean, you can tell that Matthew gets out there and works.
He fishes his face off for sure.
He does. Like even when he
loves it.
Yeah, he does
you
love
can tell.
it. He doesn't. On his days off, he's going and spending a lot of time out there trying to and making several moves. I mean, man, to me, heck, when I want to make a move and go to a place, I think like running like 25 miles is a lot of work. You know what I mean? This guy like
carrying his beach cart down the beach,
loading it back on his truck, driving 20 miles, unloading it, walking down. I mean, Matthew works his butt off.
He'll find them if there's any way possible. He'll find them for sure.
But man, I tell you, that's how I feel about finding fish. It's just it's work. You know what I mean? You just have to. If you want to be successful at it, you have to put your nose to the grindstone and sniff around until you start to hit on something. And that's what's something cool about what Patric and I kind of been hitting off of each other about in the last segment here was using your electronics. I mean, think of Beach Bum could be using electronics off the beach.
Sure.
You know what I mean? I mean, hopefully that's not too far away for
right. There's no telling
for that angler to be able to use their electronics off the beach one day. But Patric and I are using our electronics. We didn't talked about it a whole lot with Kyle's report using his electronics, but to a degree, living that far offshore, we're using electronics plus his resources with satellite imagery.
Hilton's is awesome.
I think technology. It's not the only thing that I get hung up on a little bit with the whole technology realm is we're getting better and better. And what are the fish doing? You know what I mean? Like they're not getting any better at it. You wouldn't think they are.
I wouldn't go that far. They might be adapting to it.
They could. Well, hopefully.
My big problem with technology is I'm getting old, and it's getting much more difficult for me to work these things.
Hopefully,
I can get my 12-year-old niece to show me how to work these technologies.
That's right. Well, hopefully the rest of the world kind of maybe operates like the state of Alabama and kind of keeps up with what the public's catching, how many fish we're harvesting.
Sure.
If we need to dial something back or loosen up something a little bit, whatnot, because that's what we always say is what is anybody doing for the fish? You know what I mean? We're not doing anything but getting better at catching them.
Well, I like to see what the marine resources are doing with the flounder closure in November. I know a lot of people don't like that, but I like the new speckled trout regulations. What's it going to hurt?
Yep.
It's got to help out our speckled trout industry and our flounder industry, and I think it's pretty cool what you guys do with redfish, and even speckled trout. Before the changes, you guys were making your own changes.
Yep.
To the people that, me, I catch 50 speckled trout a year or something, maybe. I mean, you guys catch 50 a day.
Yeah.
So the people that actually make an impact on the industry, making changes, that's cool.
Yeah.
And that's what's up. That's what's going to make the difference in our fishery here.
That's what I always think about is not today is tomorrow.
That's right. Our kids, man.
That you took the words out of my mouth.
Yep.
I hope my kids will be able to catch them like I did because feel like I'm missing something that the generation before me
for sure
experienced as far as the fishery went. So hopefully, like
I think we're heading in the right direction, man. I really do.
I hope we are, and I understand there's some folks that are might be a little upset about it and think that something's getting taken away from them and whatnot, because we've really dealt with that for a long time. With especially, of course, we can all look at the red snapper saga.
Sure.
How we've been regulated by federal government control, and I really feel I feel much better about this regulation on our inshore fishery with it being state controlled than it being something rammed down our throats with federal, because honestly, the state went about it the correct way. You know what I mean? They put out several public meetings,
public forums where you could speak your truth,
you could come and speak and talk, and then they had also had meetings where it was only commercial fishermen where they could come and show them the data, and they had feedback, and then also with charter captains. So they had like 3 different segments that they addressed there, and I think they made a great decision with it. And hopefully in years to come,
I get it.
Things will get better.
I think so, man. I get it. It stinks. You don't want the government telling you what you can and can't catch and how many. Have you ever seen more red snapper in the Gulf of Mexico than there is right now?
No, sir.
So, I mean,
you got to say something's working.
That's right. You gotta take the good with the bad.
That's right.
And I mean, it just evens out.
That's it. Well, you're not going to make everybody happy.
That's 100% true.
I realize that, but
sure.
I think overall, we will live in a very well managed place.
And it's changing, like you say. We're getting way better, but the fish are still the same.
Yeah, they are, and hopefully
you got to allow for that. There has to be yin and yang. You got to.
That's right. Economy's good. There's a lot more people that are boat owners
fishing.
now.
Heck yeah, absolutely.
A lot more people fishing.
Yep.
I have to resort to Captain Bobby to tell me about how back in the day, you used to go.
Back in my day, boy.
Yeah, I know. He tells me about these stories about what you used to never see anybody at these areas.
Oh, I can't imagine.
They're just covered up with folks. And it's just,
times are changing, man. That's all there is to it.
It's the way the world turns, Might as well not fight it. Just embrace it and figure it out,
and roll with it and move on. Well, man, great show this week. What'd you learn? Did you take anything away from the show?
I did. The one thing that Beach Bum was talking about in his tip was, don't be hard-headed about what species you're going after. And then one thing he's doing is definitely lightening up his tackle. And then rolling from his report to Patric's report, talking about his sheephead and getting the cloud cover in it, flipping on a bite. The water clarity in and around Mobile Bay is through the roof good. Like I said, I'd call it in the upper 7 to 10 on a 10-point scale as far as how good the water is. So you need to dial your tackle down some, because Patric definitely saw that, especially with sheephead. We all think sheephead are dumb, like snapper,
Yep.
They're just going to chew anything, but they're obviously not. And then using your resources, using your electronics, using your satellite imagery and whatnot out of Captain Kyle there with Skin Deep. So those are the couple of things that really stand out on the show to me.
You talk about the Beach Bum and Patric and everybody adapting and overcoming. That's one thing that I like about you and your fishing is, I know we've talked about it several times. You get tired of beating your head against the wall with speckled trout. It's time to do something a little different. If that's getting tough, go chase a ling, go chase whatever. Just adapt a little bit. If the conditions aren't perfect for your ideal fish, then so be it. Those fish aren't going to bite. Go figure out how to catch something else.
Go figure out how to bend the rod, as old Captain Ugly likes to say. Found something to bend the rod.
Bend the rod. That's right. Tug is the drug.
Tug is a drug. That is right, man. And,
I think, man, technology right now is, and I know we've kind of talked about that a lot this week, but it's crazy with the the Hiltons, with the satellite imagery and all these electronics. You got to use them these days.
Yeah, and then
it saves you so much time and so much
think
effort,
about what
so
social
much energy.
media has done too. People take constant pictures and videos. You can kind of like the right person can look at at a picture and say, "Oh, I know that branch in that tree in
That's right.
in that raccoon that's sitting right there. That's Leroy over there."
I know that ripple of water.
Yeah.
That's,
So man, the fish are definitely at a disadvantage.
For sure, without a fact. Maybe we'll talk to Ray Marine about that beach, the onshore.
Oh,
Maybe we
yeah.
get like an onshore sonar or something like that.
Yeah. I'm actually about to be doing a little bit of R&D for them with one of their new machines here.
I'm interested.
Yeah, the next coming weeks, and so I'm sure I'll be speaking about that a little bit here when I get my hands on it.
Heck yeah, looking forward to that.
But yeah, heck yeah, I never even thought about that until I just said it about some beach electronics, man. That'd be pretty neat,
cool.
you know?
Yeah. Hey, there's got to be something. There's something for everything these days.
For
Goodness
sure.
gracious. If you can get the altimetry, the upwellings and the downwellings, a hole in the water or an uprising from the satellite image, you can find a fish from the beach, I would think.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate you being my co-host this week, Captain Richard. I think Joe is down I don't know, on the Mexican border shooting quail or something. I don't know what he's doing.
Mexico, huh?
I think he's in the States, but I think he's right on the border shooting.
We going to Mexico, huh? Old Smoking Joe's smoking something down there, huh?
There's no telling about
Smoking
that
some
big guy.
birds.
No telling about the big guy.
Oh, yeah.
All right, folks, that's going to wrap it up this week. You guys please subscribe, rate, and review wherever you listen to podcasts. If you'd like us to email you the podcast every week, just head over to greatdaysoutdoors.com/ASFR, and we'll send you the new show each week. You guys please follow us on Facebook, Alabama Saltwater Fishing Report, and show some love to our sponsors. As always, we appreciate the reviews on iTunes. You guys keep whacking them. We'll see you next week.
Come on.
This week's Alabama Saltwater Fishing Report has been brought to you by
Coastal Conservation Association of Alabama. Check them out at ccaalabama.org. Also brought to you by
Geico. Call Ron Davis, Geico agent, at 251-445-0053 or visit him online at geico.com/mobile-al.
And also brought to you by Daycool Heating and Air, your home performance specialist. Contact them at 251-260-3858 or check them out online at www.daycoolair.com. License number AL07028.
This week's Saltwater Fishing Report is brought to you by Angelo Depaola, the Coastal Connection with eXp Realty, your boating and beach property specialist. Check me out on Facebook at Angelo Depaola Realtor, the Coastal Connection, or call me direct at 850-287-3440.
This is Captain Richard Rutland, and this report is brought to you by Cold Blooded Fishing. You can find us at www.coldbloodedfishing.com.
This week's Alabama Saltwater Fishing Report has been brought to you by Fishbite. Check out the Fight Club series of inshore lures at fishbites.com.